Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to Soft Drink TV Madden 27 Surprise Me review. This don't sound very promising. Soft Drink TV, I thought you was on it, man. I thought you was finally coming to your senses, bro, and you was gonna start doing what I did with 2K. Just slandering and bad shit, and until people admit that this shit is trash and come to their senses. But no, my brother, he was talking all that good shit. Now, come on, brother. I ain't saying that you probably not still on that, but still, this title don't this title ain't making me too confident, bro. I thought you was gonna hold it down. But we'll have to see though. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into this.
I'm conflicted. Madden NFL 27 is a game that still pisses me off like most Maddens, but it pisses me off less than usual. When you boot up the game, you're greeted with some nostalgia, with players ranging from Matthew Stafford to Amon-Ra St. Brown saying, EA Sports, it's in the game.
That's how they get you. They get you with the nostalgia, bro. That's why they try to reel you in. Let's give them something nostalgic so that way we reel them in good with this one right here. That's how they get you in. This wouldn't reel me in. The gameplay means everything. All just because you're going back to getting athletes to say EA Sports is in the game. Nah, nigga, show me the gameplay.
The old PS2 games from back when Madden was a respected franchise had these, so I like this. It might be too late, but those inside EA are starting to remember what this company once meant to the sports gaming world.
Nah, they doing it to reel you in, bro.
Then the title screen shows the cover athlete, Caleb Williams, in a montage of real NFL clips, which adds authenticity. And if this is going to be the only NFL game, by all means, use NFL footage. You then pick a favorite team, and the game's main menu actually shows you highlights from your team over the years, which is an awesome touch. But as a Giants fan, why is there no helmet catch or even an Eli Manning clip? We got some plays from last season, and then the OBJ catch, and then some Lawrence Taylor highlights, but why not show Eli Manning breaking out of the sack and then cut to Tyree coming down with the ball with Rodney Harrison draped all over him? As cool as the OBJ catch was, the Giants lost that game. I know I'm nitpicking here. I like the real footage for each team. It's cool. These positive feelings are juxtaposed with a game that's constantly trying to sell you something. Like the last few years, you're forced to navigate through a team pass screen, manually select free pass, select that you're sure you don't want the paid pass, and then you get a pop-up to buy the MVP subscription. You close that, and then you get 2 Ultimate Team pop-ups, the pay-to-win game mode. You close them. Finally, you get to the main menu, which of course defaults to Ultimate Team.
That's how they reel you in.
All of this in a game that costs $70 to start, and I actually have the $100 premium version because that's what came with the stupid subscription I got to review college football. The premium, expensive version of Madden still gives the user this cheap, free mobile game type experience. Imagine a 50-year-old who hasn't played Madden in a decade trying to quickly hop into play now with his favorite team. I can only imagine their frustration. Usually, Madden has microtransactions in Ultimate Team, so you can buy currency, so you can buy packs that give you a chance at unpacking a good card. That, of course, expires in 2 years when EA shuts down the game's servers. But for the last 2 years, they've added more monetization with the push towards the paid team pass. This year, things have gotten even worse, because as we'll get to, there's now a Superstar paid Battle Pass and a store in that mode that now makes Superstar pay to win. Yeah, the career mode that's mostly offline is now pay to win, with a seasonal paid pass and a store that gives you paid upgrades and faster progression. And I expect this to only get worse each and every year now that EA is under new ownership and the buyers now have $20 billion in debt they have to make up, and somehow profit on top of it. What we saw in College Football 27 was only the beginning. So why am I not completely losing my mind? There are silver linings here, and they've surprised me. I think the devs at EA might see the writing on the wall, and this could very well be their swan song to the fans, because there are a lot of new additions and tweaks and improvements to this game that I genuinely did not expect. Let's start with presentation. This is the best looking Madden of all time. It's not the highest bar to cross, but unlike MLB The Show, the game doesn't look old gen anymore. Unlike NBA 2K, I can't point to a game from 2013 and say, hey, this looks better. The lighting and details on the field look better than ever, and player likeness has taken major strides. Catholic Pac-Man's influence is felt all over this game with equipment. Now guys have proper sleeves, sock types. The pants are as close to above the knee as the NFL seems to allow. Hanging mouthpieces are dope, helmets fit better, and I think most people will notice that their team looks a lot more like their actual team this year. You can still nitpick, but I'll take the effort they put in. Sidelines still need work, and the crowd is the worst part of what you'll see visually, but the players on field look great in screenshots. There are subtle tweaks to in-game presentation that I noticed. After a play, there's an extra second or two before it cuts to the play call screen, which is a lot better than before, where you'd often see the game abruptly cut away awkwardly as soon as their knee hit the ground. It's subtle, but I noticed these things. Pre-game intros are like college football. They did traditions for every team, but this isn't college football. Madden should have pregame presentation that resembles an actual broadcast. For example, when the Giants play Dallas on Sunday night, the pregame commentary should be going over storylines such as Scadaboo returning from injury or neighbors, or the fact that in my franchise, Dallas signed Bobby Okereke before the game. Let's hear about him facing the team that cut him. Odell Beckham Jr. is back in the Big Apple. That's a storyline, etc. You would think in 2026 we'd have more dynamic commentary, but almost every pregame intro is some variation of the team had a great week of practice. It's so generic, man. The audio is pretty bad too. PC mods help. When I heard Mike Tirico behind the Sunday Night Football theme, he actually sounded so much better. So maybe the in-game commentary sounds worse than it is because the game is doing it a disservice with its generic broadcast music. But their lines just aren't dynamic at all. You'll hear them talk about getting ready for next week during an obvious playoff loss. Or they'll be weirdly excited about something mundane while acting bored when something crazy happens. You would think it would be more advanced by now, but it feels like the same commentary technology we had in 2005, just with more teams and a larger quantity of recorded lines. I have heard some people suggest AI for commentary, but that's not as simple as it seems. I have seen the viral video clips where someone takes a touchdown or an interception from college football, and then they add AI audio over the clip, and it can sound pretty cool. But if you focus on these clips, notice how the AI commentary never breathes.
Simpson with time, scanning, loads up, lets it fly down the left sideline. Williams has got a step, caught at the 15. He is gone. Touchdown, Alabama. His fourth touchdown. 4th and 2, 2 minutes left. All on the line. Along takes the snap, looks left, fires, picked off. Wade Wood has jumped. 3rd and 10, backed up deep. Underwood in the gun, takes the snap, looks left, nothing there, fires anyway, picked off. McCoy jumps the route at the 30. Wow. Down the sideline, across the 20.
They don't breathe. They don't take a second to breathe. It sounds cool and you won't even notice in short highlights. But if you applied that AI over the entire game, it would drive you nuts because they would never stop talking. Also, generating it live is an entirely different process than what people are producing online. I don't think the tech is here yet, but eventually that should be the move. The crowd audio is even worse. It feels less dynamic than Madden 11's crowd. It's just lifeless and reacts poorly to the in-game moments.
That's crazy because EA was always known for the crowd reaction. Whether it was NBA Live, FIFA, they always had the crowd reactions on point. Wow, EA really is falling off. That's sad.
They updated the crowd noise a few years ago to sound more authentic, but it still feels like a static layer of noise, when it should sound like tens of thousands of fans reacting to a football game passionately. On the flip side, there are more camera angles to play from. In between plays, we get new angles and perspectives that make the game feel fresh visually. There's new kicking animations. It seems like Ian Cummings has finally been retired. And a lot more players have signature animations that make the game look more legit. And as much as I ragged on commentary, it is cool to hear lines about teams hiring new coordinators, like the Giants hiring Matt Nagy at OC. While games like Madden 10 did have licensed coordinators before, we've never had the game acknowledge them on game day or show them on the sideline. Depending on who you are, you'll either find this to be cool and immersive, or it might piss you off because why did it take them this long? It's almost like EA just started watching football on TV. They finally got cable in the Big 26. So now they're adding real broadcast elements little by little as they discover them. But I'll take it. There are stat overlays, but they're so basic. After 2 big runs, you'll see your running back stats so far, his yards per carry. But I have to keep bringing up ESPN NFL 2K5 because that game had passing charts showing what parts of the field you throw to, or your yards per carry depending on the run type, or player matchups. Madden 27 doesn't even track this stuff. Even Madden 21 had next-gen stats, where after a big play, you'd see the quarterback's time to throw or the ball carrier's top speed. Even that is missing now. So the presentation, while improved, still feels generic as hell. The score bugs are the same as last year too. Also, when quarterbacks enter the field for the first time, I really wish it would show some real NFL footage, like Madden 15 did, for example. That was a nice touch, and I feel like it does the game wonders when you can remind the player that this is NFL, not a generic EA football game. You know what really bothers me though? The game is named after John Madden, and in the booth, he was famous for drawing yellow circles on replays when breaking down plays. Madden, the video game, has never replicated this in the presentation, but NFL 2K did. So don't roll your eyes. 2K5 is still the presentation standard that must be mentioned if we want to review Madden fairly. If this game can't stack up to a product from 2004, I think the consumer should be made aware of that. It's only logical.
Yeah.
The little things are still missing. Practice does look more authentic, but why is the quarterback wearing red if he still takes full hits? Why can't they add a fake tackle animation here for authenticity? I'll go over the Scott Hansen weekly recap when we go over franchise, which is an improvement, but still not at 2K5's level. That said, the soundtrack is really good this year. You get a variety of genres we normally don't see, and there's even a Sam Spence remix straight from Madden 08. And weather is improved. There's now dynamic snow and rain, which escalates and changes throughout a game. The snow in Madden 15 still looks cooler to me, but that's subjective. The snow is the last part of Madden 27 that I'm going to nitpick. I like the dynamic lighting as well, as West Coast games actually look legit now in terms of lighting on this generation of Madden. There's a lot to like here visually. Like the rest of this game, presentation is overall a mixed bag. I appreciate and do see the effort, but it still isn't where it should be in 2026. Things like penalties, injuries, and key in-game moments fall flat and feel generic as usual. Even the Super Bowl feels more like an exhibition game. I'm not sure if EA will ever satisfy the die-hard NFL fans here, but casual fans might find this acceptable. Gameplay is either going to be your favorite or least favorite part of the game, and it depends entirely on what you care more about. If you're all about player movement and using stick skills when the ball is in your hands, and you loved College Football 25, you're probably going to like this Madden a lot. This might be your favorite Madden of all time. If you care more about the catch point, not getting sucked into animations, or realistic tackling physics, you're going to find this Madden to be the same as always, a frustrating mess where animations often overrule player ratings. Personally, I think the gameplay is fun despite the flaws. Sure, I get annoyed, but less than usual, which matters. It feels bouncy with players like Scataboo, a refined boom tech that isn't overpowered like it was in 25. And while the players are carried by animations rather than an underlying physics model, this feels less obvious than usual, similar to College Football 25 and 27. After the catch or after a handoff, you get precise control over your player's movement. And as long as you don't get too close to a defender where the game triggers a tackle animation, it almost feels like PS2 era Madden, but with far more visual complexity. But here's what I don't understand. Why does EA sacrifice having a true underlying physics model for proper foot planting animations? That's basically the entire trade-off. The old PS2 games had finer user control, and physics were respected more. But there was a ton of feet sliding, which can look sloppy to some, I get it. So the current philosophy at EA is to prioritize pretty animations over proper physics. My issue with that is the game is still sloppy everywhere outside of foot planting. There are no gang tackle animations. Every player basically has a solo tackle animation that the game seems to try and combine together awkwardly. Players slingshot and defy physics constantly as animations interact and snap together, and the game already just looks sloppy. So why bother with this trade-off? Perhaps they just don't have time to rebuild anything with the yearly release cycle, and this might just be the best that EA can do. But the most annoying part of this reliance on animations is at the catch point. You throw to a guy who's open, the ball lands in his hands, and a defender barely taps him and it triggers an animation that makes the ball roll out and makes it incomplete. I hate this. You have a wide open OBJ. The pass glitches into a drop because the game probably doesn't have an animation to trigger from this slightly awkward angle.
That's correct.
Likely has to stretch out here for this one. You already know he's going to drop it. OBJ has 2 more drops this game, which makes no sense when he has an 85 overall catch rating. Here's another weird example of the game's flawed logic and over-reliance on animations. I throw up a pass to Neighbors, it's not accurate, but it's actually heading right towards Darius Slayton. But because he's not the target receiver, he's stuck in an animation and doesn't even try to catch the ball. But the defense will never do that. Every single defensive player will lay out for an interception like their life depends on it. Every time. That's not balanced. Your receivers need a perfect animation to come down with a contested catch or to even try, but defenders have a way easier chance. And I feel like Madden has been like this since 17. They added timing-based catching, which at least makes catching a user skill issue if you turn it on, instead of praying for the right animation. But even then, that's also taking away from player ratings. Madden has had an identity crisis since it first went online. Is it a competitive online game, or is it a simulation football game? It can't be both, yet it tries to be. This is also the case with the new QB sneak meter you have to time. Player ratings stop meaning anything when the game is catered to online competitive games with maxed out players. The comp crowd begs for a skill gap, which they get, and the sim crowd begs for the exclusive sim NFL game to feel sim, and they are left in the dust. Here I throw it up to A.J. Brown, aggressive catch, but he can't come down with it in single coverage. If A.J. Brown can't catch this, who can? Why is the defensive back favored in every jump ball? Why do they have more urgency than my receivers? Why do they have more awareness than my receivers? Your tight end can be wide open down the seam, but even if you bullet pass him in front of the safety and get the ball there in time, the lightest tap will force an incompletion. It doesn't feel like what you envision in your head from watching real football or playing real football can actually translate in game. I'm playing something else here. And this can be fun, that's why the competitive crowd likes it, but this isn't real football. The over-reliance on animations takes away creative freedom from the player. I think that's bad game design. I'm not saying the game is too hard. It's more that the game wants you to play in very specific, limited ways to be successful. Thinking outside the box is usually not rewarded in Madden because they haven't made an animation for it. You're limited by what EA has come up with, not your own imagination. But gameplay is a mixed bag for a reason. Drags were finally nerfed, and that's huge for me. You can't mindlessly default to drags and crossing routes and run mesh every play. You gotta mix it up and think more with play calling, which is massive for keeping franchise from getting stale and avoiding repetitive cheese. CPU play calling AI is improved, which is necessary since they added coach mode, which I like, which we saw in College Football 27, and defensive players aren't as easily fooled. I enjoy player movement, the tackle animations are more varied and believable, and I can go a few drives without seeing anything truly immersion breaking, which is usually not the case. They took a pile of shit and they polished it up, and you might forget that it's shit for a little bit. That's kind of cool. I'm a die-hard NFL fan at the end of the day, so getting any enjoyment out of Madden is a net positive in my book. But that's also really sad. Blocking logic is pretty much the same, just tuned, and that goes for almost everything else. It's a refined Madden 26 with drastically better player movement and nerfed drags. And for some, this will be their favorite Madden ever. For others, it's going to feel the same as always. Personally, I find myself having more fun than usual controlling the top NFL players, and I normally can't say that. So this is progress, even if there are diminishing returns, and it may never progress further than this without a true rebuild. Tackles are sloppy, but almost in an endearing way, similar to the old Infinity engine. It's arcade leaning, but it's playing to its strengths. I'll take this over any Madden since 16. The best part of this game is franchise mode, and it's why I feel more positive than usual outside of player movement. The mode got a serious UI overhaul, not the usual design tweaks we see year to year to just make it seem different. It's actually different. It's not the deepest mode ever, but it's organized in a way that I prefer. Everything is streamlined instead of forcing you in and out of slow menus. Player upgrades are way faster, navigating the hub is better, and league news and visuals are front and center. I'm a big fan of the visual redesign. Also, luckily, franchise mode seems to be unaffected by microtransactions. The mode is still mostly pure, for now, outside of pre-order bonuses. There are now live league pop-ups with Scott Hansen audio when a player is signed or traded. It reminds me of the Tony Bruno show, just not as in-depth. The persistent ticker is also really nice, and staff upgrades feel more authentic with the return of licensed coordinators. Replacing the word simulate with delegate to GM showing his face is a nice way to add immersion, and the to-do list went from a list of text that could get overwhelming to some nice visual cards you actually want to click on. Contract negotiations are completely redone. Now you can adjust length, yearly salary, bonus, no trade clause, guaranteed money, and void years. This is new to Madden. You go through rounds of negotiations with players, you talk to them, and while it's more tedious than before and kind of takes forever, if you have the energy for it, it adds a lot to the mode and creates real attachment to your players in new ways. When a player tells you he's dying to win and you convince him to re-sign anyways, you feel a little bit of pressure. The persona engine comes into play here, as it gives every player a personality that can change, so guys can be unhappy and demand a trade if they aren't getting enough playing time. It's pretty basic, but it gives you something else to consider and manage outside of ratings, which is nice. 2K has done this for a decade though. The weekly recap is much better, now showing an extra section each week that can rotate from league leaders to trades to injuries. It's still not at 2K5's level, objectively, but it's improving, and it's better late than never. I said last year they should keep iterating on it and not remove it, and so far that seems to be the case. I just find it strange that we're still chasing 2004 with 2026 tech. Free agency is revamped and it's closer to what we saw in Madden 12 with its live bidding system, just a bit slower. You bid on players during an hour-long window, and you can skip ahead by pressing start. Back to the signing process though, I wish the game added a lie option. I wish I could tell Javon Holland here that we're gonna win the Super Bowl next year, and then take a massive gamble where if we don't, all my players are gonna turn on me and I'm probably fired.
Yeah.
Let's raise the stakes. Force me to make some dumb win-now trades. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want. Wear and tear is something I'd like to turn on for realism, but it's so poorly tuned right now, it's not worth it. You're gonna have to wait for a patch that confirms that it's fixed to even turn it on, if one ever truly fixes it.
It's never
And then
gonna
the
come.
draft experience is still awful. You can't see who you drafted last round or who anyone drafted until it's over. You just get a live view of the current round and that's it. Roger Goodell frightens me. The UI here is awful, and EA should go study 2K5's draft UI because it was perfect. To the lead designers, please pick up 2K5, genuinely. Compare Madden to it, close the gap, make me shut up, I beg you. What's cool though is after the draft, you do get another round of free agent frenzy for the undrafted free agents. That's a nice addition that finally replicates what we always see right after the draft in real life. Scouting, however, is still the same, and I'm not a fan of this system. And owner's mode is gone. You're only a coach. You cannot be a player either. And yes, the relocation stadiums are all the same. The sim logic feels improved, but it still seems like a combination of playbooks and ratings. It's fine, but it's also the same as what we've seen from every sports game for decades. Where's the evolution? Before I go deeper, I want to be clear that franchise mode is a positive here, and I appreciate the effort they put in. It's way better than usual, and I find myself wanting to play it, which usually doesn't happen. But it could still be way better. I'll explain in a second. The other good addition is the new custom pre-play adjustments, which goes beyond franchise mode but also applies here. Here I was able to create a defensive adjustment where I change everything. I can spy my defensive tackles for when I go against a cheesy scrambler online, keep my safeties back, change the shells, guess play, change stem length for zones and routes. Anything you can do pre-snap, which has been expanded, can be used here to make these custom adjustment presets so I don't have to spam buttons before a play. I love this. But then I asked myself, why do I love this? This is basically an indirect version of create a play. So EA, why stop here? Why not add it back fully? I love this feature, but it leaves me wanting more. The original John Madden Football let users create formations, plays, and schemes. That's kind of the whole point of running an NFL team. It upsets me that it's no longer a feature in the exclusive and only NFL game named after John Madden himself.
Probably because people will be cheesing online with these plays. They'll break the game. So it's kind of like, and we kind of don't want that. Like maybe you lock it inside of offline modes, but yeah, they probably don't want people doing that.
But hey, this is almost that. This is progress. And if you're worried about create-a play being overpowered online, I think it should be optional in franchise and only be on certain online events or offline only, but there's no excuse to not put it in the game in some capacity. Now hear me out, I'm going somewhere with this. Imagine if we had create-a play back and you could start a franchise in any year or era, let's say 1965. We introduce the pistol formation, we run everything out of the shotgun, deep passes to a Megatron type player who would have been misused back then. We invent new schemes no one's ever seen before. Now imagine the Persona engine kicks in and goes beyond players and also affects CPU coaches and schemes. Let's say other teams start replicating my new scheme and plays because it works. And then defenses adapt and the CPU teams design their own new schemes and the meta shifts every year.
Nah, what'll probably happen is even if you put it back in the 60s, they still gonna play like modern day. Cause EA be that lazy. They ain't got that much dedication to it. This ain't 2K, baby. This ain't 2K, baby. This ain't 2K. They don't have that much dedication to this shit. It's a cash grab.
Back to 08 in real life. The Dolphins tried out the Wildcat formation, and even Bill Belichick and the Patriots were confused. That type of experimental magic, along with the coaching cat and mouse game, has never been done in a football video game. Madden has never come close to this. But when I think back to my childhood self, playing Madden on the GameCube or NFL 2K5 on my Xbox, that's the type of game I was expecting to play when I got older. Instead, we're still chasing the past, and I think it's more than fair to be upset about this. Also, why can't we spectate games we aren't playing in? I want to watch the CPU Super Bowl, or in a connected franchise, I want to spectate my friends from the All-22 cam without relying on them to screen share in a PlayStation party. All of that said, franchise mode is a lot better. The new custom adjustments are a great addition, but even these positives leave me wanting more, and I think that's completely fair. That's not me being ungrateful. That's me having realistic expectations for the exclusive and only NFL video game in the big 2026. If EA was being honest with you, they would tell you that they've been dropping the ball for years. It's not a secret. Superstar mode is where everything falls apart. You get 8 slots. Why? On my GameCube, I was limited by my memory card, but I could theoretically have an infinite number of Superstar saves with more memory cards. Why doesn't Madden use your console storage instead of stopping at 8 with some arbitrary lock? This year, we get some new positions, but again in Madden 06 you had them all. This is because the mode is far more story-oriented and scripted, so each position does take more time to add, so I get it, I guess, but this mode is a mess. First of all, it has a Superstar Premium Pass. Another damn pass. And there's a store, and keep in mind that 500 of this currency is 5 real-life dollars. Look at the prices in this store for one of your 8 players in a fully priced video game. They slow down progression to sell you items that speed it up, and you can play online with a limited 3v3 showdown mode where you wear different gear. You also have to pay to unlock. It's so stupid. The yard is gone, by the way. It's just this now. The skill tree menu is terrible too. It doesn't make it clear how to progress, and circle resets everything, so you have to somehow know to hold the button to spend the rest of your points to move on to the physical section. Imagine that 50-year-old player I mentioned at the beginning of this video. This feels more like Minesweeper than Madden. Try to see how far you can go before you accidentally purchase some stupid bullshit or get stuck. I do like the GOAT journey board, and the mode, despite being pay to win, is still an NFL career mode with depth. You start as a 70, so unlike Road to Glory only giving you 5 years max, it's more reasonable to level up throughout an NFL career here. I just hate the direction it's going, and it doesn't feel like a 20-year improvement on what I mentioned in Madden 06. Outside of that, there's nothing else new. Ultimate Team is the same pointless mode I would never recommend, and it's also the mode that now has the slowest menus and worst navigation UI. Draft Champions is long gone, a relic of the past, and even Superstar KO is now gone from the game.
Damn.
I never cared for it personally, but that's mostly because the mode lacked any reason to play it beyond a round or two with friends. There was no rank system, there was no incentive. But now, this means the only 3v3 modes are inside pay-to-win game modes. Superstar KO was the only fair way to do that, and now it's gone. And yes, the game is filled with bugs and glitches, like every Madden. It is what it is. Madden NFL 27 is a broken, almost beautiful game, built for an also broken, yet more beautiful world, and I think we deserve better. But sadly, this is probably as good as it's ever going to get, at least from EA. And I do think the devs deserve credit because I can feel their effort. But they can only do so much with what they're given. And despite all of my criticism, this is good for a modern day Madden game, for whatever the hell that's worth. I'm feeling precisely a 5.743 out of 10 for Madden NFL 27. With the sale of EA, the initial microtransactions in college football and this game are only a sign of what's to come. This might be the last Madden worth getting, if it's even worth getting. In 10 years, some will call this the last good Madden. Others will say, no, this game was terrible. That's just how the story goes. I hear people say Madden 20 was the last good one. In my opinion, Madden 12 was the last good Madden. But as you can see, goalposts move. Recency bias seems to win, but I try my best to keep the history alive.
Alrighty, man. That's just gonna about do it for this one, man. Shout out to Soft Drink TV, man. Yeah, looking at it, it looked like there's some improvements, but for the most part, it's just the same old copy and paste. From what I'm seeing, it seems like the same old copy and paste, but now they're becoming predatory like 2K, and it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a complete fucking shame that they've stooped to this point that now they're following 2K instead of trying to differentiate from 2K. They're like, fuck that, let's get money. That's what it's about now. It's all about money. It's all about money, greedy. Take, gimme. It's all it's become now. So yeah, I haven't bought Madden in years, and I ain't finna buy it now. So it is what it is. Yeah, man. Anyways, though, shout out to Soft Drink TV. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, deuces.